Hello and welcome back to MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic. And in this short video today, we are going to make a couple of minor updates and upgrades to our Hinata Dawn-Crowned EDH deck, which is one of the decks that currently resides in the Burgeoning Commander catalog, a set of Commander decks that you can see by going to the BCC playlist on the MTG Burgeoning page. With that being said, you can also check out the current deck list by clicking the link to tappedout.net in the description below. All right, most quickly, we have two spells that we're going to put into the deck for the purposes of updating and upgrading it, and then we're going to call it a quick day. All right, the first spell going in is going to be Chaotic Transformation. Here we have a sorcery for 5 and a red, and we get to exile up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target enchantment, up to 1 target planeswalker, and up to 1 target land. So a quick count at home would lead that to have 5 different targets. And you know that if we have our commander on our side of the battlefield, Hinata, well, spells we cast cost 1 generic mana less to cast for each target. So with Hinata on our side of the battlefield and 5 legal targets for Chaotic Transformation, we are only going to pay 1 red mana to cast the spell. And look at what we can do when we target up to 1, let's try that one more time. Look at what we can do when we target each one of these different cards. For each permanent exiled this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a card that shares a card type with it, and then puts that card onto the battlefield. Very, very powerful this could be, but again, it's in red, it says chaotic, so it could also be potentially harmful as well. I like the fact that we can target an enchantment with this, because let's be honest, in red, well, not just in red, we are a Jeskai deck, so we do have other removal spells available to us, but enchantments are a lot harder to remove than most of everything else that's represented on this card. Seeing Chaotic Transformation being able to target one of those is very, very nice indeed, particularly if maybe that opponent only has 1 enchantment in their entire deck or 1 planeswalker in their entire deck. It is possible. Maybe we're getting rid of a Gaia's Cradle that somebody has on their side of the battlefield and replacing it with a basic forest. We can also make sure that we utilize this spell to target our own permanents as well. If you are familiar with this particular Hinata deck, you know that we can target any one of the numerous creature tokens that we make to get one of the creatures that synergizes with spell slinging from our library right onto our side of the battlefield. So Chaotic Transformation is going to go in and do much better work than the card it's going to replace, and that card is Mass Manipulation. Here we have a sorcery double X and 4 blue to cast. Now, with Hinata on our side of the battlefield, we only have to pay attention to paying the mana for one of those X's. That is all. We don't have to satisfy the mana requirements for both X's if we have Hinata. However, in absence of our commander on our side of the battlefield, Mass Manipulation is almost a spell that we just aren't going to cast. And that's also going to make it a lot easier to pull it out. Another detraction for this spell is the quadruple blue in a 3-color deck. With all of the various dual lands that are available for us, one would think it would be a lot easier to come up with 4 blue mana. Well, it's not. Sometimes this spell just sat in my hand languishing, waiting to be cast, and when we do get to cast it, we gain control of up to X target creatures and or planeswalkers. Well, for the purposes of this deck, we don't really want to gain control of those creatures because we have a bevy of our own that we're going to create and win the game. And planeswalkers are not really a valued commodity here in Commander. So Mass Manipulation and its exorbitant mana is coming out, and Chaotic Transformation is going to take its place. And then lastly, very quickly, we have our Talisman of Progress, which is our Azorius Talisman. It's going to give us a white or a blue mana, and we take 1 point of damage, or we can tap for 1 colorless. And to take that out, or that's going to go in, and it's going to replace our Felwar Stone. Listen, white is not a very popular color in Commander, at least in my metagame, and neither is blue. So let's make sure that we can get the colors we need by putting in the Talisman. And those are the changes for today, MTG BC.